Hello and welcome to Profiles in Risk. This is your host, Tony Cañas, and today, after much technical difficulties on my side, we have my guest, Yaron Dycian, Chief Product and Strategy Officer at WINT. Yaron, thank you for joining me today, and thank you for your patience while we experienced technical difficulty after technical difficulty before we started recording. How are you doing today?
I'm doing great, and thanks for having me. And we know how these technical things go. So yeah, thanks for having me. I really appreciate it.
My pleasure. And on LinkedIn, you are listed as being in Zoran in the center district of Israel. Is that Tel Aviv?
It's a bit north of Tel Aviv,
A bit
maybe
north of Tel
a few
Aviv?
miles
Okay.
north. Yeah, very close. Everything's
Okay.
close to Tel Aviv in Israel. It's a tiny
Okay.
place.
So I have actually visited Tel Aviv. I want to say early 2022, I think. Sounds about right. A great experience. Great experience. So I can and now I work with so many insurtechs that like I could do it tax deductible now, but that was before. I'm guessing that in the middle of July, Tel Aviv, and especially with how hot everywhere is right now, I'm guessing that Tel Aviv right now is like 100 Fahrenheit, like 35 Celsius.
No, actually, it's not that bad here. It's not like Europe that's scorching hot at, I don't
Okay.
know, 110, 120. It's a reasonable 30, 31 centigrade. What is that? Around I don't know,
Reasonable. That's
90s.
that's like 90. That is
Yeah,
not
exactly.
reasonable in my book, but I'm currently in Buenos Aires, Argentina, where it is where it's winter. And the winter here are so mild that like uh number one, no snow, and number two, like 10 degrees, 12 degrees and sunny is like a decent winter day here in Buenos Aires. 12 degrees Celsius, so like 50, 45 to 50
Yeah, pleasant.
Fahrenheit. So anyway, awesome. Well, thank you for joining me today. So we always give the guest the chance to give the elevator pitch. What is WINT?
So WINT stands for Water Intelligence, and we deal with a problem that's been neglected for way too long, which is managing water in buildings. So if you think about it, water in buildings, and really people have not thought about it, is the cause of this whole neglect problem. Water in buildings comes in through dumb pipes and is used by dumb, valves and faucets and whatnot. And it's an unmanaged resource. The reason it's been neglected for so long is everybody took it for granted. And that's not the case anymore. Coming back on the back of our starting conversation, the world is heating up badly, and water is probably the first casualty of that. There's water stress that's not been around for 2,000 years in the US, in North America, on a broader scale, Western Europe. It's not a sub-Saharan Africa type of problem anymore. And since that's the case, we need to take more notice of it. And what we are doing is managing water in buildings. Now, the fact that water is such an unmanaged asset has two main implications. The first is waste. Unbelievably enough, every site we go into wastes about a quarter of its water for no good reason. And it's not for any big reason. This is typical, classic death by 1,000 cuts. A toilet leaking here, a tap left open there, the irrigation system, the reverse osmosis system, it never ends. It's a lot of little things that really, really add up. That's the first problem, this waste of water. The second problem is damage. So if you've ever had the very unhappy opportunity, sorry about this. Sorry, that was an incoming call.
I didn't even hear it on my
Oh,
side, so no worries at all.
oh, you didn't? Okay. Well, broke my flow here. Darn it. Where
The
were
second
we?
problem is damage caused by that water.
Second problem, right? The second problem is damage. So if you've ever been involved in the very unhappy incident of water leaking inside a building, you don't want to be there again. Water in buildings, whether it's on the construction site or in the operational building, whether it's in offices or in multi-tenant residential buildings or in single home dwellings, water damage is a big, big deal. So if you look at some of the associated policies in P&C, water damage is probably the third most common occurrence and the third most common source of loss ratios. In construction, it's even worse. Water damage is the number one source of losses on construction sites. In fact, in builder's risk, it's 30% of the overall loss ratio. And if you think of what can happen on a construction site, it's from people being hurt to fires. I mean, it's endless, right? The amount of things that can happen on a construction site. 30% is attributable to water damage. And so it's a really big deal. And we've been coming up with solutions that have been growing in sophistication and capability over the past 8 years to solve water in buildings. We help our customers save water, we help them prevent damage, and through these, we also return the investment very quickly, just on water savings, let alone the statistical impact of the damage. So that's WINT in a nutshell. I will just say we do this because I've spoken about the problem, but not so much about the solution. We do all of this by placing very simple devices, water flow meters and valves, standard off the shelf, in dedicated locations on the piping system. And at that point, we read this data coming off of the meters. We use artificial intelligence, signal processing, machine learning, pattern recognition, a whole slew of data analytics technologies to identify what's normal and what is abnormal. And when an anomaly is identified, we take that anomaly, we alert to the cloud, it reaches our consumers, and the valve can be shut off. There's also an enormous amount of statistics and data and analytics that come off of this. And we've been deployed worldwide from the West Coast, US, to the Empire State Building on the East Coast, throughout Europe, Israel, UAE, and all the way out to Singapore.
Fantastic. I had no idea that it was this big of a deal. So I did know, as an insurance nerd, I did know that water was a huge cause of loss. I had no idea that in construction it was number one. I've never worked construction, so it's super interesting. And I really hadn't spent much time thinking about the pipes. But yeah, I love your description of dumb pipes, dumb valves. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense, especially older buildings. But even in new buildings, I have no idea if today the standard is to install smart piping or smart valves. No idea. Okay. Okay. So off the shelf parts, intelligent software in the background. Okay. So who are the clients that you guys serve? Do you guys serve the brokers? Do you guys serve construction companies? Do you serve insurance carriers that give a discount when somebody installs your pipes? How does this get distributed out to the final user?
Yeah. So the customers at the end of the day are either the construction company or the developer who owns the builder's risk policy. So it's the holder of the policy, right? Whether it's the GC or the developer. That's on the construction side. On the operational side, it's actually anyone who's interested in maintaining water integrity in the building. So sometimes it's the owner of the building who equips the building throughout. Sometimes it's specific tenants. So it could be in a commercial building, it could be specific companies, some of the biggest IT companies, tech companies. Microsoft uses us, and they're the tenant in that building, but they want the protection and the sustainability, of course. And if you're looking at a large multi-tenant building, it'll usually be the association managing the building or the facility management company. So anyone out of this range is a customer. I can't hear you, Tony.
Thank you. So my listeners are very much insurance brokers and carriers in the US. How can they benefit from how do they best partner with you guys? Because they're definitely interested. Both of those are interested in minimizing water losses, right? So how can they best partner with you guys?
That's a really good question. I'll start by saying, you asked how insurers benefit from wind. To be honest, I actually think insurers probably benefit from wind more than wind benefits from wind, because when I can charge that much, and the solution is not very expensive, the insurer gains the benefit of no losses, which could be enormous, and that's fine. That's okay. That's what technology is here for. In terms of how can they benefit, so we have a lot of partnerships with various insurance companies. I'll mention maybe the first and the one that we've announced most recently is a partnership with HSB and Munich Re. And in that context, the partnership includes a warranty. So, if you look at any technology solutions such as WINTs, it'll always include all the relevant legal language saying, this is an AI solution, it's statistical in nature, we cannot guarantee full, prevention. It's all fine. We're risk mitigating, we're not guaranteed prevention. Actually, we are now guaranteed prevention. And with this partnership with HSB and Munich Re, our customers can also purchase a warranty. So, HSB and Munich Re went through the due diligence you'd expect from such a big and super professional insurance company with, big IT and tech capabilities, and decided that they are willing to provide a warranty in case wind fails. So, that's a partnership we have. There are also other partnerships. So some of our insurance partners have studied the system and are willing to provide certain levels of discount, whether for deductible, for the policy, and we work together. We make sure that they have a high level of solution in those sites, and they help the customer protect themselves. At the end of the day, it's win-win because if the damage doesn't happen, everybody benefits from it.
Absolutely, and HSB. The moment you said HSB, such a moment for me. Like it makes so much sense, right? Like they are the number one insurer and for the equipment breakdown piece, and they white label it for other carriers. It yeah for them having some partner that can minimize water losses is absolutely a fantastic idea. And I'm sure you guys are not the only ones that do it. So yes, the fact that you were able to become HSB's partner on this, I think should be proof to the fast follower rest of the insurance industry, that this has been vetted, and they'll do their own vetting. But yeah, this makes absolutely perfect sense. Any partnerships with the broker side? I'm curious.
Uh,
Are there like construction specific brokers that or yeah, any partnerships with the distribution side of our industry?
Yeah, so some of them are formal, some of them are not formal. We just work together. So we do have a formal partnership with Howden, for example. I think that's been announced a couple of years ago. But we work with many other brokers. At the end of the day, when you want to get your customer the right level of insurance for the right price, obviously, mitigating risk for one of the biggest causes of losses is a big deal. So we work with quite a lot of insurers. I'm sorry, with quite a lot of brokers on this side to just help them build the right solution and the right package for the customer.
Okay. Can it be white labeled? So if I am, Nationwide Insurance or Travelers Insurance or whatever, and I want my logo on it rather than WINT, can we white label it?
You could, absolutely.
Okay,
We've done
perfect.
this before. Yeah.
Okay. How's the integration with uh right? So you sign a deal with HSB or whatever other carrier. Uh, how do you integrate it into our systems?
There's no direct integration. Usually it's not been required. Unlike, some insurtech solutions that need tight integration into the insurer's backend, really, we're sitting on the customer's facility. We're protecting the water system. We do have open APIs that can provide information about pretty much anything the system does. So, the leak, the volume, the flow rate, when it happened, what the action was, all of this is available. To be honest, I've not seen this be required by
Okay,
insurers.
perfect. What's the pricing like, and who pays the bill? Is it the ultimate owner of the building?
Yeah, it's either the owner of the building or the construction company slash developer. They pay the bill. The model is quite simple. The hardware, which is mostly not ours, is sold by us mostly as a service, right? We will buy the valve in the meter and let the customer install it. Actually, they can buy it on their own. If we buy it, there's a certain markup, nothing significant because there's handling. So that's the nominal hardware cost. And then there's a service fee. The solution itself comes up as a service, not just in the solution is working on your site point of view, but we really are a full service package. So you will get a dedicated customer service manager who will know your site, know what you're doing, understand your building, what your tenants' needs are. They will adjust policies. So all this AI occasionally needs some human intervention to make it optimized for specific needs. You have nothing going at night next week because I don't know. Everybody's coming in for the holidays and the building is going to be occupied. Things like that requires some pre-knowledge because otherwise the AI takes time to adjust and you want immediate reaction. So that's an example of the thing that your customer success manager will work with. We also have a 24/7 service. So this is really interesting. You've got all this technology, and this is one of the most amazing things I've learned. You've got all this technology with AI and IoT devices in the cloud and mobile apps and whatnot. And the system catches a leak and it shuts off water from a broken pipe on the 20th floor. And it's worked. But there's a watchman on the ground floor in the lobby and he wants coffee. And unfortunately, there's no water. So he tours the building and he looks very carefully at all floors. And there's no problem. Of course, there's no problem because the valve has been shut off. And so what does he do? He goes down and he activates the valve and he allows water to flow. And at this point, a human told the system, it's okay, don't worry about it. That's essentially what the person did. And we have to trust it. You have to give the person authority over the technology. And at that point, water starts sipping from the 20th floor, and the watchman on the ground floor in the lobby will notice this when it starts dripping on his head, having come down 20 floors down. Trust me, I've seen this happen. It's a classic situation. What do? People are the weakest link. We know of this in cybersecurity. You can build all the best protections. Somebody's going to give someone the password, and that's it. You're done. So to solve this, we have a second layer of human defense. It's a 24/7 service center that monitors the alerts. We have our logic for this service center. We're monitoring 10,000 systems right now. So naturally, people are not going to see every alert. But certain alerts that have specific characteristics, like the one I just described, are going to pop up. And when they pop up, they will look at this. The team will review the alert. They'll look at all the flow data and understand what's going on, and they'll look at the building's history, and they'll call up the people, and they'll have an escalation list to start calling up in an escalating order. And if nobody answers, they will shut down the valve anyway, per their decision. So that gives you that second layer of defense. And I'm getting into all of this just to say this is a full package service. It is not just a piece of technology. Here's a valve, go work with it. And so there's a service fee associated with it. It's an annual service fee that we charge. It's not extremely expensive. It will vary by the size of the system and a number of parameters, but nothing too crazy.
Okay, fantastic. So would it be fair to compare like my mind the competitor the comparison that it did is to like building security services like ADT where you know like an intrusion or a broken window is detected and uh they dispatch help at any time. So very it sounds like a very similar solution but for water.
So I think to some extent, yes, we have the technology. It's quite advanced in doing a lot of things automatically. We won't dispatch anyone. We do everything remotely. But apart from that, yes, it's the combination of, deep technology. I'm not sure about ADTs, but deep technology on our side and the human second layer of defense. Totally.
Okay. And this is the kind of thing. So I love the example of of the sorry, I got distracted there. Got a text message and like lost my train of thought. I love the example of the 20 stories and yeah, traditionally it gets noticed once the security guard downstairs sees the water down. At that point, you've got $1 million loss, right? So carriers, like imagine that. Imagine if the last $20 million water loss at a gigantic building, especially an office building where there's not people in the evenings, could have been stopped at a $2,000 loss in one floor, right? Like like this is something you should be giving a discount for. So as far as you know, are any carriers giving a discount for it?
A lot of them are giving a discount.
Perfect.
I'm seeing
Perfect.
discounts on
Okay.
both deductibles and the premium itself. Absolutely.
Okay.
In fact, before we went into the partnership with HSB, Munich Re did an actuary analysis of our performance, and they got to 90% reduction in loss ratios.
Okay, fantastic. I we're getting kind of to the end of the time, but I'm always curious. What's the origin story? How did WINT get created? How did you guys realize that this was a problem and started creating a solution for it?
Yeah, so one of the founders, went on vacation shortly after renovating his home. Amazing renovation. Went on vacation, came back, water damage to painful levels. And so he said, there's got to be some kind of technology to help me solve this. And there was none. We're talking quite a few years ago. And so he went on this journey to build a company.
Okay, that makes perfect sense. Yaron, thank you for your time today. This has been super informative. When it goes live, I will tag you on LinkedIn and tag the company on LinkedIn. Looking forward to hear more as you guys. Normally, very often I have startups that are like a year or two old, so I'm always saying I look forward to seeing you in a couple of years to hear how things went. In your guys' case, you guys are much more mature than that. What I would love is in a couple of years, I'd love to have you and somebody from HSB to talk about how like the effect that the partnership has had. That would be amazing. So anyway, I know getting carrier people is a lot harder, but thank you so much for your time
Whenever
today.
you want.
This
Whenever you want. I mean, they'll jump on it any moment, as you can
this
imagine.
has been super interesting. I always do ask. So with the fall conference season coming up, are you do you guys go to Connected Claims? Do you go to InsurTech Connect? Any conferences where we might be able to kind of see your team in person, see the demo of your technology?
So we're going to be in, that's off the top of my head, in InsurTech Connect. We're going
Perfect.
to be in Blueprint. It's not an insurance conference,
Okay.
but if you go there, we go to ERMI.
That makes perfect sense because that's a big construction conference.
Right. I mean, it's everybody who's in construction goes there, and it's very focused, right? You look at InsurTech Connect, it's like, I'm going to have,
Everything.
health insurance, I'm going to have life insurance, whatever. So ERMI is very focused. I don't know if you have any that you recommend we go to. Let me know. Anything that you think is insurance and real estate focused?
Yeah, if I think of something, I'll definitely let you know. Thank you so much for your time today.
Thanks a lot. Appreciate it.